Mr. Dheepak.
Since I got a villager from Austin, I know you're the same person. It's just that you're in a new location. I had to point it out.
I'm in a different village.
Mm-hmm.
Look, this is a fantastic city that was a sleeper town, you know, just a capital city in Texas. And now it's become this weird high-tech hub, but the food's dynamite. Okay, so let me tell you the funniest thing. Cultural misappropriation. So tell me something similar about most countries that make the best hummus. What do they not eat in the countries that make the best hummus? Pork. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Usually?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
For sure.
So in Texas, I had pulled pork on top of hummus yesterday.
Ah, blasphemy.
I know my brother-in-law would be having a fit. He'd be like, would you put that with that? You know nobody that eats hummus eats pork. But phenomenal restaurant last night. And you wouldn't guess it.
Do you know how that might have come about? Somebody saw a cup of hummus and tasted it like in a barbecue place, and they were like, what the fuck is this? And they took a rib and dipped it in there and went like,
that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Well, and you know, my sister owns a hummus company, and they make 7 different types. And this would just be a different type, like if you mixed barbecue sauce. The best one that I've ever eaten, and yes, if you're Arabic or Lebanese or from the Middle East, I know you're not supposed to do this to hummus, but they would do a combination of garbanzos and black beans with smoked jalapenos, and that is the best hummus I've ever eaten in my life.
Oh wow, that does
dynamite.
Sound amazing. Yeah,
shit. It was like a mix of barbecue and hummus. So what's going on in your world? What's going on in the other village this morning?
In the other village, since it stopped raining, it's hot as hell.
Oh, God.
Not as warm as there, though. Do you know it's like 87 right now? And I'm like...
Well, that's 4 degrees less.
I know.
That's still pretty hot.
But in my defense, we're in the tropics, so shut up.
Right. So how long has it rained? What's normal?
It rained almost 5 days. This is not even part of the regular monsoon cycle. That's the weird part.
Wow.
Like,
okay.
Our monsoons come in, I think, end of May, June. Like, it'll rain for like 2 months straight, almost every day.
God, that's
it's pretty
insane.
much like what happens if you build a highly populous city in the middle of the fucking rainforest. That's how much rain we get.
So when I was in the rainforest in Peru, it would rain every day at like 3:30 for an hour, just torrential downpour, and then just come out, and it wasn't humid, it was sooty, like it stuck to you. Stuck to you. But I did have some of the best food out in the jungle. We ate like river fish that tasted like pork de loin.
Oh wow.
I mean, it was dense. But it was delicious. I have no idea why I went there, but what do you want to talk about today?
Well, I actually wanted to tell you about this comedy joke writing thing that I was reading the other day.
Right.
Where it was some kid just complaining about how everybody has told them that they're funny as hell and nobody lets them write jokes. And I was like,
wow.
That's a level of confidence I've never had.
Yeah.
Dude, I bombed for like 5 minutes on stage on Friday night.
So everybody thinks they're funny until you get on a stage doing stand-up. And then you find out, because you're in a friendly audience, they want to be entertained. It's free with your friends. When you get on stage, you've done stage work, and if you want to give your version of it right after this, and let's see if they're similar, because the first time I went up to do stand-up, I get up there and you get on stage, and all of a sudden there's a spotlight on you, and you can see fibers. That's all I can see were fibers in the spotlight. And it smelled like beer and vomit, maybe a little bit of soup mixed in. And so the scent is overwhelming me. And I'm looking out, and then I look down, which is a terrible mistake, to the front row. And there are two people there just like, well, make me laugh, MF. You must make me laugh. And they purposely didn't want to engage or have fun. And they bought a ticket. How do you turn those people around? That's when you really have skill. So it isn't that people won't let you write jokes for them. You got to prove the jokes are funny. Then they'll let you write jokes for them. How was your first experience when you went up? Because mine was, it was okay. I didn't feel terribly defeated when I went off, but I wasn't any good. And I was way, way, way more prepared the second time.
Can I tell you, the first time, the one thing I knew that did happen was I just couldn't figure out the distance of the microphone.
Oh Lord,
so
yeah.
They probably just heard me breathing in my while I'm having a mild panic attack on stage.
I don't think people understand how unnerved you are when they give you an introduction and you can hear the applause, and then you've got like two people that keep clapping almost as an insult. Like, oh, great, here he is. Come on, show me how you can do, Earl. And so you get up there, and I don't care what you do, memorize your first line and repeat it 1,000 times. Because once you can deliver your first line, and your first line's not a joke, it's a setup.
Yeah.
You can roll, but you just got to get the first line out. And the second time I went up, I had a prepared 5-minute script, and I went up and murdered it. But the first time, it was something. But here's what I would say: do it. You think you're funny? Go do it. And like somebody like that, my son Kyle was like, "Hey, Dad, I think I should do comedy." And I go, "What makes you think that that's a good idea?" And I wasn't being mean. I'm just like, God, before you go up there and suffer that trauma, do it in front of some people. Take a Toastmasters class. They'll teach you to speak in front of people. And then maybe join an improv comedy group. You can make friends. All of you have the same things in common. And then you find out that all of these really original, talented people bombed when they went up to go do it. And I mean bombed. And the stories are they're killer.
I'm pretty sure that most of the first time, all I could see was just a sea of pitch black, because the room was like, once those lights hit you, I barely see it. Plus, I wasn't even wearing lenses. It was my glasses. So the glare, I couldn't even make out whether they were smiling or not.
Right. God. And so how did you breathe? Because, I'd done performances forever. So I knew how to do all the breathing, and I would stretch my face out before I went up there. And I did vocal, not necessarily warm-ups, but practices. So you don't get up there and you're like, and because, when people say you choke when you go on stage, that's what they mean. You didn't clear your throat out. Simple glass of orange juice or a can of orange juice. Bring it with you in your pocket. You don't have to pay $8 at the bar. Shoot the thing before you go out, and that'll clean your throat out.
I think most of my comfort came from either business school or even just regular business, where I'm used to presenting in front of people, but it's a different type of pressure when I'm trying to stand there and expect a laugh.
Oh God, yeah. And if you've got to, so if you give a pause and kind of, because we all do a little quarter eyebrow raise, you're fishing for humor. Now, when you know you're good and you practiced a little bit and you've gotten up on stage and failed once or twice, you can tell when the audience is rolling with you. And there is a level of laughter where you have to stop talking because the laughter won't stop. But you don't want to wait till it's quiet. You want to see, once it starts dropping down a little bit, jump back in, because you want to feed it for everything it is, and you want to increase the frenzy, for lack of a better word. But until you've got people almost crying, that's when you can move up to the next stage. And So for those of you who've never done this before, you start off at 3 minutes or 5 minutes. And if you're in a big city, you might not get on till midnight.
Oh, yeah.
And when you get on, the people in the audience are the other comedians. It's not, all the normal people have left.
It's either the comedians or it's the comedians' friends who are critiquing you every time you say something.
Right. And my friend's so much better than him. My friend's so much better than him. And so I just found that I loved the pressure. And so once you become a professional and you start getting paid for it, the competition in the green room, which is where everybody waits, it's never green, it's just called a green room. Those people will try to screw you up so you go on stage and bomb, because only one person wins each night. And it better be you if you want to stay employed.
Can I tell you the weird part? This weekend, there was like one table that was laughing and spit up their drink, which was why I knew it was actually a funny bit.
Right.
But I was joking about something super cultural, Sean. So the state that I live in is, the city is Bangalore, the state is Karnataka. So we speak a language called Kannada. And people in northern India, a lot of them would speak Hindi. There was a news article. By the way, this is the third time I reworked this material, because the first two times I just ended up offending people. So I kind of cleaned it up because I was, you know me.
No.
I'm like the US Iraq strategy shocker now.
That's awesome.
So I reworked it. There was a news article where this lady was probably from the northern part of India talking to a rickshaw driver who's from here. And he was angry because she asked him to speak in Hindi because she didn't understand Kannada. So he was all up in arms about it. Like, how the hell can these outsiders come here? And can you believe that? I'm like, sorry, where the fuck is she from? Like, that part of our own country?
Right. It's your own country, my friend. That's awesome. And that's a good lead in.
Okay, so the setup for the joke was that news story. And what I was equating it to was the food. So all our butter chicken and tandoori chicken, all of that come from North India. Right. And my take on it was that this rickshaw driver, his favorite food was tandoori chicken and roti. And he had a nice box packed from a hotel sitting on his dashboard. And she just was in a hurry to get from somewhere to somewhere because she's an outsider. So she was just carrying like fast food that she found in South India, which would be like those steamed rice cakes and those little dosa things that I used to make you eat.
Right. I'm in. Yeah.
So my joke was, she learned one sentence of Kannada and she said, okay, I will speak to you in Kannada, but give me that. Here's your vegetarian shit. Fucking take that and go home. I'm taking your tandoori chicken and roti.
That's a pretty valid deal. Did you ever hear the Anthony Bourdain talk on, when people don't like immigrants, and you go, then you don't get to eat their food.
Hell yeah.
If you don't like Mexicans, you don't get to go to a Mexican restaurant. Yeah. And I thought that was the most authentic talk I've ever heard somebody do. But so you did cultural stuff. So, if you and I go to France, as long as we try to speak French, we don't have to speak it, but we have to try. But what happens, you get a lot of Americans who are like, no, you got to speak English. Man, the French will treat you like dogs. And rightfully so. But you guys are all in the same country, which is, I don't know how you do that, but with so many people, but in the southern 6 states in the United States, you got to speak Spanish anymore. And I don't think people really know that, but you really do. You got to speak Spanish sometimes, not all the times. And it's probably the same thing like that, where you got to speak a specific dialect. You should still know the niceties of that dialect, but then pulling your good food back that, after he's being an ass to, that's solid. That is solid.
Yeah. I think the people from here were just irritated with me. And the guys who spoke Hindi and didn't speak much Kannada were the ones who were laughing and spitting up their ears.
So let me ask you this. How many minutes did you do?
I did about 6 minutes. That's it I could do.
Yeah, hey, that's dynamite. But the big thing is you found a joke that hit, so that needs to be your first joke, right? Next time you go up, and then you got to figure out what your next one is. People don't really understand. There is a science to joke telling. So whatever the story is that I tell, I take about 30 or 40 seconds to tell a story. And then you just take a left or a right turn, meaning you say the worst possible thing anybody could say at the end of that. And that's what makes it funny. I mean, even if you're talking about lollipops, you know, a little candy, you know, you give your 45-second setup on, like, you know, when I was a kid, we loved this and this and this and this, until I was in a strip bar and I saw somebody pull one out of a, you know, however they did it. But, you know, I'd obviously be much more graphic here than you would allow to be over there.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone's just so shocked that you said it. They uncomfortably laugh, and then it may take them a minute to process and go, God almighty, that probably happened. And then comes the belly laugh. But there's a science, an absolute science into writing jokes. So when you're in there with two comedians that literally are like, and no one will let me write jokes for them, and you go, okay, show me your setup. What's the punchline? Because everything is set up punchline. Now, I can tell a long story and keep you laughing through the story, but it's a series of setups and punchlines. But it's the same story. Comedy's hard, man. Comedy is hard.
The guy who came on stage after me, his opening line was, give it up for that wannabe American. And I was like, dude, this is not even a fucking American accent, you dumb cunt, is what I thought in my head. I was like, okay, let me just shut the fuck up and get out of here before the mob of unhappy people. I know. I was like, dude, come on. I'm literally opening for you.
For people to be that rude, you would almost have to be in London. Wow. Oh. So,
I found it hilarious.
So when I first moved to Oklahoma, and you have a very BBC English, I have a very American news English. When I moved to Oklahoma, people would go, are you from Boston? And I go, do you know anybody ever from Boston? Because they talk about me, apartment, we're gonna go down here. And I go, I've never spoken like that in my entire life. But, you know,
I think there's like an entire SNL sketch where Seth Meyers plays different characters from Boston.
with the hockey shirt.
Yeah.
And him and the girlfriend keep making it.
Of course, it's like a trailer for accents from Boston, and there's a guy who uses the word bro too much, and there's this guy going like, bro, bro, you need to come here, bro. Do you know people in India now use the word bro more than I've ever heard it anywhere else?
No, you need to charge them money every time you hear that, so they will stop.
It's even with our local languages. Like the other day, some guy in Hindi started his sentence and looked at me and went, bro, ye pata hai.
Oh, no.
Like, do you know this? And I was like, oh God. I was like, why are you saying bro? Knock it off.
Oh, that's brutal. Well, you know, I think the funny thing out of that is you just sit there and go, by the time it moves to another country like yours, you go, hopefully people here have stopped saying it. We had this real weird trend in the 80s, and people were trying to talk like they were from California, which usually most everybody out there speaks like I do. They're well educated. I mean, it's actually a pretty neat state. It's got a bad rap, but it's a neat state. And they would do like Valley Girls, and you're like, yeah, stop doing that. There's some asshole out there that talks that way, but not anybody I know. Wow.
Do you know the other thing I was thinking of? Like, would they consider it racist if I switched my accent to an Indian accent, did my entire act? And
did you fake it? Yeah.
And then I was getting off stage and I was like, okay, that's my time. Thank you, everybody. It was a lovely evening.
Yeah, but so what I would say there, you know, I mean, having done that job, is you go, look, if you were successful, the next guy feels pressure. So I swear I toured with this guy, and I'm not making this up. I watched Dave Chappelle perform, and I go, I swear to God, I did shows with him. And it was a guy that looked just like Dave Chappelle. He was high as shit all the time. And he would smoke so much weed, he would go on stage and he thought he was funny because he was high. And you need to be sharp. And I mean, you got to be able to turn on a dime. If the audience is moving, you got to move with them. You never want to be impaired. Now, you can look like you're impaired. You can sound like you're impaired, but you never, ever, ever want to be impaired. You could watch Richard Pryor towards the end of his career before the fire and tell when he was high and when he wasn't high.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was high, that damn guy was still funny. I mean, he could do it. Yeah, but you don't want to do it starting out. And this guy would go up and he'd come up, he's like, God, that was great. And I'm like, you just bombed. I got to go get these people out of what we would call the shitter, meaning like the bottom of the dang barrel, and build the audience back up. And it would take me maybe 5 or 7 minutes just to recover. And then I could do my act. But if I went out there and just did my act, I would have bombed as well because we were already in the shitter.
Mm-hmm. Do you know the only reason they let me up that night was because I told him I'll open, because the kid who was supposed to open, that was his first time on stage. And he got nervous. So I was like, oh, it's fine. I was like, dude, I'm much older than, because they're all like in their early 20s. And some of them have decided that they're a working comic, which means that that's their full-time job. Yeah,
it's a hard way to make
I wouldn't be able to understand it, but then I was like, okay, whatever. I was like, dude, it's fine. I can go up because even if I bomb, I know I'm still working on this stupid bit. Right. I was hoping that a waiter would show up with like tandoori chicken in one hand and something else, and I would give it to the wrong tables and be like, okay, idiots, how do you feel now?
Oh, hey, let me tell you about something food-wise. So I'm in Austin, Texas, doing my Villager podcast today. So I found I don't know if it's Indian or Pakistani yet, but I believe I'm going there today, and I'm going to have Ural's version of pizza. And so I literally was at another place eating yesterday, and I read an article about it. And there's evidently 3 places in the greater Austin area. And I wish I was kidding, but I think it's called the Indian curry pizza. It is that tacky of a name, but the reviews were dynamite. So you basically take normal stuff that's sold in a pizza place, and eventually you just spices and whatnot. But they do sell hot chips, which I've never seen anybody in America sell.
Nice.
I'm going to have a review. Yes.
Can I tell you, that is the normal Domino's menu here. So Domino's here does a tandoori chicken pizza. They do paneer butter masala pizza, things like that.
Same one.
If you get a headache after that, it's not the MSG, okay?
I don't blame the Asian for the MSG. I like salt. Who can we blame? Where's an Asian guy over here? God dang it. Yeah.
Must be that wake up in the morning with a headache. Must be that damn Indian man.
I forgot I was lactose intolerant, but I got the poopers. Hey, the only food I've ever eaten that I knew I kind of got poisoned there. I'm in Peru and I'm eating some street food, and this lady and her naked kid who just whizzed, like urinated all over there. It didn't even go anywhere else. He just like started going. And I'm like, how are those stuffed chilies? Are they good? She's like, they're the best. So I ate.
Well, you deserve that.
Dude, they were so good and then so terrible coming out. But holy crud, they were marvelous. And then all I could think is I couldn't get off of the toilet. And I'm like, God dang it, the kid with no diapers peeing on the ground should have told me something.
Post-editing, I'm going to name this episode So Good Going In, So Bad Coming Out.
But, you got to take the risk. I don't care who you are. If you are unwilling to eat that lady's food, you cannot dare call yourself a foodie. Shame on you.
Oh, yeah.
I always died laughing when I'm in a third world country, essentially. And people go, well, did you get sick? And I go, of course I got sick. Everybody gets sick. I just don't care. The difference is I don't care. So have you ever eaten like crickets?
I have.
Where'd you eat it? Were yours Mexican or did you have them in some other country?
Had them in Louisiana.
Wow. They probably tasted good.
Those are good. I had like frog legs
Yeah.
and crickets. Anything that
Wow.
not available at a regular grocery store is what they served me that evening. There was like gator tail. I was like, Jesus Christ, you people are killing
And
me.
yeah, those are some rural French folks there.
Hmm.
And they're usually really super friendly and their food is delicious.
Oh
So
yeah, it is.
I dinner with my son and his girlfriend last night. We were talking about food and I said, she goes, well, how did it become so important to you? And I said, well, I think in most Caucasian world, meaning British Isles, Germany, France thinks they're great at food until you eat in other parts of the world and find out, oh, it's just a lot of
Hmm.
butter. But we're more worried about commerce and getting ahead and getting things and everything than what we're going to eat for dinner. It's sustenance.
Yeah.
And so I said, people on the kind of lower end of the income scale, generally that's the highlight of their day is what they're going to eat. So they really give it some thought. And I said, I wake up in the morning thinking about, what am I going to have today? That's the start of what I think and the end of what I think. And and she was like, wow, I've never had anybody say that way. And I go, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. But you know, if you're yourself and you're going into a place and you want to try their stuff, you don't get to talk bad about it.
I know.
Yeah, it's a crazy deal. But you know, you guys, I mean, obviously in India, you're the spice capital of the entire world. So, which, you know, I don't know what I would say to somebody in India opening a place here other than maybe we try half the spices you are used to, and then let's go from there. Yeah.
I know those damn buffets at the Indian restaurants. Oh
Ooh,
God damn it!
yeah. Hey, speaking of just delicious going in and terrible going out, but I just, you know why I like a buffet? Because I don't know what any of the names are. And you and I have talked about this before that the Chinese made it so easy for white
I
people.
know. Orange chicken,
Orange
number
chicken.
10, number 12. I'll have the 23.
And it always had a picture next to it. So you could go, I don't know what the hell that is, but I'm gonna eat it, Earl. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, they really decided. So you know, Chinese food in Ireland is served with French fries. They don't serve it with rice. It's a choice. Yeah, our people like.
I would like
what to
that,
do with
dude. I would like a nice kung pao chicken on a scoop of fries. I would eat that.
Hold on a baguette. I'd eat the shit out of that.
See, that's another cultural thing, Sean. I think it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's that we're such an ancient culture that we just don't give a shit, or it's just sheer arrogance where they're like, oh, let the white people learn our fucking names. Or is it the reminisce of that rebellion against the white man from the British, which just exists in us, where we're like, we're just gonna write it in whatever the fuck we call it.
Right. And I would say kudos to you because I have the same feeling towards them. But from a commerce standpoint, just commerce, yeah, you probably want to make it easy. So I go into this Pakistani place and the guy's like, you want a butter chicken? And I go, no, why would I want a butter chicken? Because I literally thought it was chicken with butter. I mean, I didn't know any better. Why the hell would you call it butter chicken? And then years later, I have the real thing, and I'm like, what the hell have I been missing all these years? Worst damn name for food I've ever heard. But if I was selling to white people and I was doing, yeah, it's butter with chicken, they go, oh, I'm in. You know, I get it. I get it.
You know the weird origin of that food?
What?
So the northern kings, I think they were the ones who brought the tandoori chicken and all of that to India. They were the Mughals, I guess. And in that part of India, during the summers, food spoilage was really high. So one of the king's chefs was the one who decided to use the previous night's tandoori chicken, tear it up into pieces, cook it with a tomato and heavy cream gravy, and like use a lot of butter. It lasted for 5 more days. They could use that during. It was pre-refrigeration. That's the origin of that damn dish.
That makes more sense. I mean, everything has a reason that it's there, but that makes more sense. But I just was like, that's a tomato cream sauce, as you would call gravy.
I wanted to say gravy, and then I was like, okay, should I say curry? Then he's gonna think
Right.
it's a fucking spice or
Yeah,
something
you're
else.
good.
I was like, this is the most confusing conversation.
Have you ever seen the video of the British kids eating biscuits and gravy in America?
Mm-mm, I haven't.
It is it is the most hilarious 10 minutes I've ever seen. They don't understand, for one, why you put gravy on a scone and why you put meat in the gravy, because none of it makes any sense.
Do
And
you know
then every one of them,
the
yes,
first couple of years in Oklahoma, I never
right,
ate biscuits and gravy because I thought it was our cookies on some sort of fucking
right,
gravy.
right, yeah. I mean, literally, it's a scone,
Mhm.
and then they taste it and went, okay, wow, I see what this is. And you know, it's just poor people's food. They just threw meat in and they had some milk and some flour. That was it. Just like all food. What can
Mhm.
they make out of this? You know, we're I always tell people that we're so spoiled in America, we developed a TV network to tell you how much food we have worldwide. I mean, we were the first ones with the Food Network. How scary is that?
Oh God. I remember like the portions of food that was it you or was it someone else I went to that place called the Good Gravy, where it was a giant
That
bowl
was
of
me.
biscuits and
Yeah.
oh good Lord.
Lord. Yeah.
You know how
They
much I
should call.
wasted. You wasted, which I was
Oh
confused
God,
about.
yeah. Yeah, I can't. Well, you know, the thing is I can eat so much of that and then I start feeling sick. I mean,
Mhm.
there is a point there where it's not healthy anymore. The
Yeah.
the portion sizes in America, oddly enough, there's an Indian guy that owned a company called the Cheesecake Factory, and they were the
Mhm.
first company in America to give so much food that you had a bag to take home. Very rare that anybody took food home before that. And so the explanation was that it was a religious deal with him, which I don't know if that's true or not, but that was the
Hmm.
thing. He always wanted to give more, you know, and it worked. God knows he became hugely wealthy, and they make really good cheesecake. They
Oh
really
yeah.
do. I don't know how an Indian guy made all that cheesecake, but damn, it is good. Yeah. But you
I
always got
used
to
to.
take. And my thing is I don't want your same food tomorrow, especially if I'm traveling. I take it back to
Mhm.
the hotel, and then my room smells. You
Oh
know, like the
God,
next day.
yeah. That's the worst thing. Like that's like what I think there was this time in New York where I think I was coming back from like the Comedy Cellar or something. And
Right.
I took chicken and rice home, I mean to the hotel, and I
Right.
forgot and I went to sleep. I woke up in
Ooh.
the morning and I was like, God damn it, what
Yeah.
the hell did I do
Yeah.
last night?
It smells like Peru in the.
Mhm.
And I don't mean Peru smells. The bathrooms in Peru are when I was there, one of the girls wanted to write a book called Peeing Through Peru. You know, the disgusting places she had to drop her drawers and go to the bathroom. I thought
Oh
it was
God, I'm
brilliant.
sure we could do a book like that when we take a road trip here.
Right. I know. Wouldn't that be hilarious?
Mhm.
That was funny. So I see there's your punchline. Man, I was traveling through Peru and seeing the greatest people on earth, and they built the pyramids and this and this and this. And then take your right hand turn to, and then I wrote a book about the bathrooms I had to drop my drawers in. That
See,
would be a good punchline.
that
Yes.
should be the advertising campaign even for the book sales.
Oh God, yeah. Or hold on. Some of the bathrooms, the toilets don't flush. So this guy goes in there with a scuba mask on and gloves and cleans it out for you. That guy coming out of the bathroom is your advertisement.
Think about this poor fucker. Don't.
You think you had it bad? This is this guy's job. And you know everybody has to tip in crazy amounts of money because it's so nasty. But yeah,
Mhm.
King through Peru, man. That's a book that needs to be written. Crazy. So this morning I am going to a pool that is a natural spring that's about 2 miles from here. And so I was
Mhm.
telling these people about it yesterday, and they go, "What time of day are you going?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to go in the morning. Evidently, you can walk over there, swim, and then just walk back. It's like 2 miles." And they go, "Well, if you go in the afternoon, some of the women go topless." And I go, "In America? Wow, really?"
Keep it weird,
Okay.
Austin. Keep it weird.
Exactly. And I'm like, why would you do that at a public pool that's not a nudist colony in Austin, Texas? Yeah. So what makes this place so weird is you'll have a 20-story building or 40-story building, and right next to it's an old cheap house from 1900s. It's very strange.
That's where the perverts live.
Right. Exactly. Lots of Irish names on things here. So the city must have been settled by a whole bunch of Irish and Scots. The McGregor name is around here a bunch. And it's nuts. It's nuts. I don't see too many of your people here though, for it being a tech city. Yeah. Whole bunch of early millennial white kids that are making obscene money, evidently. Yeah. So you all need to start looking at Austin.
I know. But if it's already that expensive, you're probably a couple of years behind.
Yeah, I don't know how anybody could move here at this point. When Kyle moved here, I mean, real estate's about doubled since then, and it's hot, man. I mean, you've got to have air conditioning. You know, maybe somebody from Southern India could handle this a little better than most other people, but damn, dude, it is hot.
I'm ignoring that cheap shot.
No, I mean, look, my wife is genetically, she's from Southern Italy. This would not bother her in the least bit. She wouldn't even sweat. And I not only sweat, I bake like a red hen. It just doesn't. It's just, I'm not.
You're a mild shade of red today than usual. Actually, I was checking my laptop settings and going like, hang on, did I turn some contrast up?
No, it's just me. Yeah, out in the sun a little bit. But so I head back tomorrow. So have I told you about trains in America yet? Do we have enough time?
Not yet.
Shit. We got to do a whole new show about trains in America versus trains all over the. All of us, you and me, have done trains in multiple continents. This was the quietest, nicest train ever, and I've never been on one in this country ever. Wow. I know. I'm kind of embarrassed now, but it was great.